Tumbling is hard enough, but imagine only being able to see from one eye. Not only could she not hear the Florentine music, but she also had problems with depth perception. I also talked to Orem, American Fork, West Jordan, and Salt Lake police departments, and they too say that they are not involved with the federal immigration raids. But they do say that if an immigrant is involved with criminal activity that is harmful to the society, they will make those arrests.
This is a spot where Cody Brigham got stuck when he was trying to get into his apartment complex. There was a huge mound of snow and he was not able to go through. So Officer Williams tried helping him push about a couple times. He later circled the block, not finding parking, and went to the Smiths where he filmed his video.
Each night, Chip sells about 500 of these cookies. They're about the size of a baseball, and they each weigh about 6 ounces.
Mexico is the world's second largest supplier for agricultural products here in the U.S. In fact, over the past year, they spent about $4.3 billion in vegetables just like this one.
But you don't need to be a YouTube star or part of a choir group to participate. Go to Mormon.org, and all you need is a webcam and some earphones. Then you'll download your part and follow the instructions.
Some students yesterday morning saw angry birds flying around near the Mesa building, and 11 News reporter Sydney Mercader is live on campus to tell us about the birds.
That's right, we will be bringing you live footage from our drone right here behind me, and we may even go up to the treetops. In fact, just this morning we saw 2 hawks flying from tree to tree just on the hill below the Maser building.
Up and away she goes, and then suddenly she swoops at student trespassers. This was the video that last year's reporter Madison Haycock posted of her encounter with the angry bird. This is the new video we shot this morning of the Cooper Hawks. We found them less than a quarter mile from where last year's attacks happened on the BYU campus. These Cooper Hawks are not so friendly when they are protecting their eggs. Male hawk goes hunting for smaller birds to eat, while the female hawk stays to protect their home. They nested about this same time last year. If they are to nest again, BYU media manager Natalie Ibsen says the university won't be able to move them because they are protected by federal law.
Cooper's hawks are federally protected birds, so there's not a whole lot we can do to remove them unless they pose a threat to students or employees here on campus. Until that happens, we're just going to let them do their thing, and we'll keep our distance and ask others to do the same.
Yeah, we're looking at that drone up there in the treetops, and we don't want to get too close to the birds because, you know, they can attack. If you're walking down by the Maser building, just make sure that you duck and cover. Reporting live from BYU campus, Sydney Mercader, 11 News.
Well, we'll be sure to look out for those birds. Thanks, Sydney.
You might be a little bit busy filling out your men's bracket, but don't forget about the women. The women's NIT is going to take place on Thursday. Sydney Mercader tells us a little bit more about that. She's live at the Marriott Center.
The women's NIT just released their bracket for the tournament, and it looks like BYU will be playing against Washington State this Thursday here at the Marriott Center. They say this game will be quite a catfight. Washington State Cougars against our very own BYU Cougars. Wins this year, Washington State earned a spot in the WNIT because they were the highest remaining seed in the Pac-12. This is the 3rd time out of 4 seasons that they will play in a postseason tournament. BYU's Big Three will take the court, led by WCC Player of the Year Cassie Broadhead with a team best 17.9 points per game. Senior guard Mackenzie Pulsifer will also represent another scoring threat for BYU Cougars with 13.1 points per game. And WCC Defensive Player of the Year, Kalani Purcell, comes in averaging a double-double with 12.9 points and 10.6 rebounds a game. Look for her to clog up the middle. So as long as the Cougs just keep their focus on the task at hand and not worry too much about the possible matchup with University of Utah, they'll be all right. Sydney Mercader, 11 Sports.
The recent immigration raids across Utah are causing many to question local authorities and their motives. 11 News reporter Sydney Mercader talks to some undocumented immigrants who live in fear each day.
It's very scary.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Getting pulled over on the road may worry any driver, but for undocumented immigrants, it is much more. They not only fear a pricey ticket, but also being deported.
I don't know if they want to ask me for my paper or just going to ask me for my insurance.
The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, has deported more than 82 immigrants from Utah in the past couple months. A recent ICE report shows arrests took place in 22 cities, starting in Salt Lake, reaching all the way to Washington. One immigrant in Provo tells us she's worried the police are seeking out the undocumented on the road.
They say, oh, so you don't have papers because you have a privileged car to drive.
I talked to Lieutenant Brian Post about this issue.
Will or does Provo Police have any involvement with the immigration raids happening right now?
We don't ask immigration status. We don't participate in any kind of immigration or custom enforcement raids. That's not what we do.
He also says this fear is dangerous.
Because these people are then afraid to come forward and report because of whatever their status may be.
I also talked to Orem, American Fork, West Jordan, and Salt Lake police departments, and they too say that they are not involved with the federal immigration raids. But they do say that if an immigrant is involved with criminal activity that is harmful to the society, they will make those arrests. And of the 82 individuals deported in Utah, 74 came from Mexico.
I don't feel safe at all.
The young Mexican immigrant says she's covered by the DREAM Act, but she is nervous she won't be able to stay in the country for much longer.
I used to feel okay with it when Obama was a president, but now that Trump is a president, it gets really scary.
We took some of these concerns we heard to the Utah Mexican Consulate. Attorney Gabriel Gil says that only ICE can ask questions about legal status and local police cannot. He also says immigrants don't have to answer to either authority.
But the local police, it's not allowed to ask you your legal status, but sometimes they do it. So you're not compelled to answer any one of them.
Hill says that for those with questions about how to get documentation, prepare for deportation, and work with federal agencies, the consulate offers many informative workshops. Reporting in Provo, Sydney Mercader, 11 News.
A gymnast coach in Saratoga Springs is helping young kids with big dreams. Reporter Sydney Mercader visited this gym to see what made this trainer so unique.
She is not your ordinary coach. Amy Pond lives in silence. She is deaf and blind in one eye and teaches gymnastics.
She just inspires me.
Young gymnast Lily Christensen loves how she coaches.
She tells us, like, put our arms up straight by our ears.
From teaching back walkovers to back handsprings, some may wonder how she does it, but Amy has a special coaching technique. She doesn't speak, she just demonstrates.
And it makes me feel like I can do more things when she's teaching me.
Pond and her husband Derek opened Champion Sports Center, also known as Tumble Time, to give children with disabilities more opportunities. Pond is a coach and mother, but also an idol for the nation and even our very own Cougs.
When she was a sophomore in high school, she went to the Olympic trials.
But a knee injury prevented her from advancing.
The kneecap actually dislocated.
She was still able to compete on bars, and she says she realized winning is not important.
And it doesn't matter if you won, gold or silver, just do your best.
Pond joined the UCLA gymnastics team soon after. They won the 2004 national championship. She then finished her gymnastics career at BYU. Assistant BYU gymnastics coach Brogan Evanson says Pond always impressed her.
You didn't even notice that it was harder for her or that she had things that she had to adjust to because she was just so good.
Tumbling is hard enough, but imagine only being able to see from one eye. Not only could she not hear the floor routine music, but she also had problems with depth perception.
Depth perception on the vault. That was a big thing for her with the vision, was she couldn't see depth very well. And you would sit back as her doing the same trick she's doing and be like, how could you even possibly do this?
Pond makes no excuses. In fact, when she was younger, she was in a hip brace. And then her mother asked if she wanted to go to the Deaf Olympics.
And I said, no, I want to go to the hearing Olympics, the regular Olympics.
Pond says people doubted her abilities. She kept fighting for her dream.
And she had to tell me that I wouldn't be able to take the class. And I thought, why can't I? And my mom said, well, they said because you're deaf.
No matter the obstacle, she cartwheeled out of it. Amy has written a book about her experiences to encourage children to overcome their own obstacles. Someday she wants to expand her gym and help other kids with disabilities just like her. In Saratoga Springs, Sydney Mercader, 11 News.
The warmer weather brings springtime bugs. Just one bite from one of these insects could leave you with a lifetime of pain. 11 News reporter Sydney Mercader has an in-depth look at life with Lyme.
It started with anxiety and depression, and I always had like joint pain growing up.
Carly Lisenby works at Rising Health Clinic in Salt Lake City. She didn't know she had Lyme disease until she saw other patients with the same symptoms and took a test.
It came back positive, so it kind of made sense to everything growing up.
Excellent. Great.
Nurse practitioner Charlene Watson is helping Lisenby treat the disease.
Options for treatment.
Treating Lyme is daily for months.
Lisenby does IV therapy 2 times a week, as well as infrared sauna and herbal medicines.
Every Limey knows that they're taking like 20 supplements a day, and that's kind of how it is.
Watson says there's no cure to Lyme, but only ways to control the symptoms by putting the disease in remission. This means patients need constant care.
They need to have somebody who's available. So sometimes they have to travel a long ways away. We have Canadians.
It's hard enough for people with Lyme to find a doctor who specializes in the disease, but even worse than that is trying to find an insurance company that will cover each monthly treatment.
Insurance consistently wants to deny the treatment for Lyme. It's a political problem.
Where can people get Lyme from?
Ticks, which of course are the #1 vector that we know of at this point. And there's a lot of supposition with chiggers and mosquitoes. Well, why not?
Watson says Lyme disease is growing.
Now, this is the Center of Disease Control. They are saying there's 350,000 new cases a year. That supersedes AIDS, that supersedes malaria.
Lyme patients are not alone in their struggle. The Utah Lyme Disease Alliance has a Facebook page where more than 450 members like Lisenby can seek help.
Especially with Lyme, people don't understand how it feels unless you have it. So the support group kind of shares everyone else's stories that you can relate to.
Lisenby knows she will always live with Lyme. She doesn't know exactly how she got it. She just hopes one day doctors will find a cure. In Salt Lake City, Sydney Mercader, 11 News.